The SEC basketball tournament is officially here. Who will be hoisting the trophy this weekend as the madness begins in the month of March? Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that bell icon as well so you get notifications of when we go live and when we drop new video content, which is each and every single day. Also, guys, check out our podcast, which drops daily on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you get your content. And of course, guys, check out our website over at SECUnfiltered.com for all the latest from us. Guys, speaking of the SEC tournament and speaking specifically of March Madness, if you're still on the hunt for a sports book to call home, bet the non-stop action of March Madness with our good friends over at MYBOOKIE. Guys, enter bracket contests for a chance to take home prizes of up to $25,000 or pick from a huge selection of straight bets, props, and odds boosts. Guys, whatever your style, MYBOOKIE makes it easy to play your way and get paid. Sign up today, guys, at mybookie.ag and take advantage of the generous welcome offer to score a massive first deposit bonus of up to $1,000 using the promo code SECU at sign up. So again, that's our friends mybookie.ag, promo code SECU at sign up, a massive first deposit bonus of up to $1,000, guys. But the fun doesn't stop there. Get up to the minute odds, free bets, and expert predictions to help you decide who you put your money on. Guys, the best part about MYBOOKIE is this: you can bet on anything, anytime, and from anywhere. Use that promo code SECU to secure your limited time welcome bonus today. Again, mybookie.ag, promo code SECU at sign up. And let's break the bookie this March Madness. SEC tournament play officially begins tomorrow in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're here locking in some predictions. These are my official game-by-game predictions for the SEC tournament. And guys, this should be one of the best SEC tournaments we've had in quite some time, guys. When you look at the depth of the league, the sheer number of really, really talented teams, the sheer number of teams I think we can all expect that are going to make some noise and are going to be a problem when it comes to March Madness and going to give some of the big dogs some headaches, if you will. So it's a deep league. It's a stacked league, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this weekend, guys. Like I mentioned, it begins tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. Again, these are my official game-by-game predictions all the way up to Championship Sunday for the SEC tournament this week at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. We start with the very first game, and what a thriller it is, folks. Arkansas, the 12 seed, takes on 13 seed Vanderbilt. This is 7 o'clock Eastern time tip-off, and of course, guys, all of these games either will be televised on SEC Network or ESPN, those beginning on Friday. This is an SEC Network game here, 7 o'clock tip, the Arkansas Razorbacks and Vanderbilt. You know, guys, low-key, down the stretch, Arkansas has started to heat up a little bit. You're starting to see them play some of their better basketball, and it's been a really good job by Eric Musselman and his coaching staff to get the very best out of his crew in the midst of a really tough season. I believe 6-12 in SEC play is where Arkansas finished up. You look at Vanderbilt, the really improbable win over the Florida Gators in their final regular season game. And it's so funny to watch Vandy folks, some of our Vandy friends out there, who they weren't even necessarily excited that Vandy won because they were sitting there saying, oh my God, Jerry Stackhouse is going to go on a run late in the season and find a way to return to Nashville, and Vandy's not going to make a move. They're not going to fire him because of that. I think the Jerry Stackhouse run continues, guys, in Nashville. I do. I don't trust Arkansas as far as I can throw them, and I don't know if maybe I'm jaded because I've lost a lot of money betting on Arkansas this year, which I guess was a silly decision by me. Vanderbilt, all of a sudden, that win over Florida, they're unpredictable. I'm actually really excited to watch this game. You wouldn't think a 12-13 matchup would be all that compelling, but these are two teams, guys. I feel like when they take the floor, you just genuinely have no idea what you're going to get. I'm going to roll with the Vanderbilt Commodores and what I think is going to be an upset in this game. I do think Arkansas will be favored, right? One of the big storylines going into the SEC tournament is how do teams fare away from their home floor? Obviously, Arkansas, one of the best home court advantages in the SEC and all throughout college basketball. I think Vandy, Jerry Stackhouse, maybe at the, dare I say, angst of Vanderbilt fans, Jerry Stackhouse keeps this season alive. They advance the second round. I've got Vandy, the 13 seed, taking down Arkansas, the 12 seed in the first game. Guys, we go to the second game of the day in the first round on Wednesday. The 11 seed Georgia Bulldogs take on the 14 seed, the Missouri Tigers. Winner of this game gets the Florida Gators. Guys, I'm going with Georgia. I mean, listen, Missouri went winless in SEC play. At this point, it'd be a shame if Dennis Gates' team won a SEC game. Like, just finish it off, right? Like, you went winless in SEC play. Like, it's more impressive to say you went over than, well, we won one game. Just go for over. Like, go for it all. Like, if you're going to be terrible, be memorable in the process. In all seriousness, I think Georgia, a team that really struggled down the stretch, right, was able to get a win last week, much needed. I do think the Dogs will take down Mizzou. Neither one of these teams is very good, but I like Georgia a lot more, obviously. I mean, again, we're asking Missouri. If you pick Mizzou, you're saying Missouri's going to do something they didn't do all season, win an SEC game. So I don't think that first SEC win is coming in the SEC tournament. I've got the Georgia Bulldogs advancing. We go to the second round, a stacked slate of games in this second round. This, of course, Thursday, the day of games. We start 1 o'clock Eastern time tip-off on SEC Network. LSU, the 8 seed, taking on the 9 seed, Mississippi State. Guys, this is going to be a fun one. Really competitive, back and forth. These two teams have played a couple of times. Mississippi State getting the better of LSU. I think they will do that again. I love Matt McMahon's squad. I love what Matt McMahon has done this year. Turning around that LSU program, really getting them rolling right. I mean, 2 years ago, they basically didn't have a basketball program. And now you look at what Matt McMahon has done with Trey Hannibal and the rest of that gang. Really fun team to watch. But big-time players step up in big-time moments and big-time games. I think Mississippi State's got more of those with Griffin. I love their guard play. I think Mississippi State gets the job done. They take down LSU and advance to the quarterfinals on Friday. The next game, guys, 25 minutes following that ball game, will be South Carolina and Vanderbilt. Simply put, I think the Gamecocks will handle their business. South Carolina sitting right outside that double bye at the 5 seed because of tiebreakers and stuff like that. They're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to be playing with an edge. Also, they're just a much, much better team than Vanderbilt is. South Carolina gets a big one over Vandy. They will advance to the quarterfinals with ease. Texas A&M and Ole Miss. Of course, guys, like I mentioned, all these games are on SEC Network. This is going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern time tip. A&M, the 7 seed. Ole Miss as the 10 seed. And again, this one going to be a lot of fun, guys. Texas A&M, maybe the most unpredictable team in the SEC, guys. It's a team that is good enough to beat Tennessee. They're good enough to beat Kentucky. They're good enough to practically beat anybody in the league. They're also bad enough on their worst nights to literally lose to anyone. Heck, you could say the same thing about Ole Miss, guys. Heck, I took Ole Miss in the game last weekend. Ole Miss on their home floor, final regular season contest, Chris Beard thinking he's going to go out with a bang. No. Texas A&M throttled the Ole Miss Rebels in Oxford. After watching that, guys, there's just absolutely no way I have any faith or in good conscience I can pick Ole Miss to win this basketball game. And again, guys, home court advantage doesn't even matter. Texas A&M just went into their house and beat them that way. I know that doesn't define and necessarily say, 1 + 1 = 2 here, but I think Texas A&M, I think they will get the dub. They just beat this team. I think they're going to carry that over. Maybe it's not a blowout, but A&M is going to get the dub here. Texas A&M advances. Finally, the final game of the second round, Florida taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. This one, guys, is going to be a lot of fun, a great way. It will be a great way to end the second day of the tournament. Of course, guys, the whole Todd Golden and the rivalry thing going on with Florida's former head coach now being over at Georgia. And we saw them. Florida has gotten the better of this dude every single time. Every time they faced off. I see no reason why that won't be the case again. Florida, one of the hottest teams in the SEC. They were fantastic down the stretch. I will not be surprised at all if they make a run here in Nashville. And I think Florida, once again, man, I think they'll win this game against Georgia. Again, I think they just own their former head coach, and I think they're going to continue to do that here in the SEC tournament. I think they will take down the Dogs, and they will advance to the quarterfinals on Friday. As we jump into those games, guys, the first game of the day, 1 o'clock Eastern time, this one on ESPN. I've got it as the number 1 seed, Tennessee Volunteers, against the number 9 seed, Mississippi State Bulldogs. And again, guys, hey, do not be surprised. Do not be surprised if you see the upset here. I will not be shocked at all if we get the upset in this first game of the day. We've already seen Mississippi State do this earlier in the season. That being said, I am picking Tennessee, guys. Tennessee, in my opinion, Tennessee is the most complete team in the SEC. They've got the best player in the conference in Dalton Connect. They've got the defensive player of the year in Zakai Ziegler. I think State's going to make Tennessee sweat. I really do. I think this is going to be a fantastic game, back and forth. I really believe that this one could come down to the wire, but I'm not going against Tennessee in this ball game. I love the Vols to advance to Saturday to advance to the semifinals of the SEC tournament. One thing interesting, guys, going in the quarterfinal round, you love to get the double bye from a rest standpoint, but you do wonder, is there any sort of rust for any of these teams? Because you haven't had, for most of these teams, you haven't had this long of a break in play in quite some time. You just wonder, all it takes is one sloppy shooting performance, and all of a sudden you're going home and the upset has happened. So going to be interesting to see. But again, I think Tennessee will take down Mississippi State in that one. The second game of the day, 25 minutes after Tennessee and State, the South Carolina Gamecocks, the 5 seed, will take on the Auburn Tigers, the 4 seed. What's interesting as you look at South Carolina's season, the teams that gave them real struggle, that gave them real problems, were from the state of Alabama. The Alabama Crimson Tide and the Auburn Tigers. Like, for whatever reason, it was those 2 teams that South Carolina, not only did they lose, they got pummeled. The big question for Auburn, guys, is we saw all season, they were one thing at Neville Arena. I mean, felt like they were unbeatable. And then away from home, totally different team. Does that apply in the SEC tournament? Because when we saw Auburn and South Carolina, that was at Neville, and Auburn, of course, dropped a 100-piece on them and beat them by 40 points. Does it matter that the Gamecocks are getting them in a neutral site location? Do we see a different kind of Auburn team than we're used to or accustomed to seeing, especially at Neville? Does South Carolina get a different version of Auburn? What can Auburn fans expect not playing at the friendly confines? And the big question I have is, does it make a 40-point difference? That's what the margin of defeat was last time. I don't know that it will. This is going to be a really, really fun battle because, again, I think South Carolina still has a nasty taste in their mouth from the last time these 2 teams played. But I can't pick South Carolina. And here's what I'll tell you this, guys, what I hate about this. I think the Gamecocks coming in are primed to make a run. I really do, if they had anyone other than Auburn to face off against, right? Like, when you're talking sleepers to win this tournament, right? I think Florida, you could talk about them. Could Texas A&M get hot? Could State get hot? But South Carolina, guys, the thing with them, they've beaten everyone. They've beaten all the big dogs. They've beaten Kentucky. They've beaten Tennessee. But they haven't beaten Bama. And they haven't beaten Auburn. And unfortunately, you get Auburn in the quarterfinals. I am picking the Auburn Tigers, guys. I mean, again, I think it'll make a difference. I think this showdown will be much, much closer than the last time these 2 teams played. But is it a 40-point swing not being at Neville Arena, I don't know that it is. And I know Gamecock fans will point back and say, well, look at the way they shot. They shot the lights out. Maybe they won't shoot as well either, right? Maybe they won't, but I still like Auburn in this one. I need to see it before I believe it. I do like the Auburn Tigers here to advance and to take on Tennessee in the semifinals. On the other side of the bracket, later in the day, 7 o'clock Eastern time tip on SEC Network, the number 2 seed, the Kentucky Wildcats, will take on the Texas A&M Aggies. This one, again, going to be a lot of fun. I think A&M did beat them, if I recall correctly, in the regular season. But Kentucky, guys, they're red hot. I mean, they're one of the hottest teams in the SEC right now. I think that'll continue. I think Kentucky will get the win over Texas A&M, and they will advance to the semifinals. And finally, guys, I've got the Florida Gators taking on the 6 seed Florida Gators, by the way, taking on the 3 seed Alabama Crimson Tide in the final game of the night on SEC Network. Guys, we just saw this game. We just saw this game, right? We just saw it. I will be really, really curious to see, by the way, what the spread is in this one. Because to all my gamblers out there, Bama opened as a 1-point favorite, and it swung all the way over the number to Florida -2 by tip-off time. So it was at that point I knew. I bet on Florida. I was like, somebody knows something. And sure enough, what happened? Florida won that game by like 20 points, right? I'll be curious what the spread is in this one and if Vegas has a similar reaction or how do they adjust. But, guys, love Bama's team with Nate Oates and obviously what Mark Sears gives you and that entire crew. Florida is another one of those teams, though. They're extremely athletic and they're red hot right now. They're picking the best time of the year to play their best basketball. I think Florida, again, we just saw this game. What adjustments do both teams make? Going to be fun to watch that chess match, if you will. I do think Florida gets the better of Alabama again. I think Florida is one of those teams, guys. Again, we talked about teams that could make a run, some of these lower seeds or teams outside of the top 4 seeds. I think Florida is one of those teams. I think they take down the Alabama Crimson Tide. We've already seen it once. I think the Gators continue that hot play, and they advance to the semifinals on Saturday. Let's jump into that, guys. First game of the semifinals on Saturday. This is a 1 o'clock Eastern tip. I've got Tennessee taking on the Auburn Tigers on ESPN. Going to be a great game, guys. We saw this during the regular season. Like I mentioned, the physicality, by the way, in this one, going to be incredible. I like Tennessee here. You got the best player on the floor. Bottom line, Dalton Knecht. I think he'll be fantastic yet again. Dropped 39 on Auburn a couple weeks ago. I like Tennessee to advance to the championship on Sunday. And then the other game, Kentucky and Florida. Going to be a fun back and forth. Guys, we saw Florida beat Kentucky. I think Kentucky, though, right now, they're a little bit hotter than Florida. I like the Kentucky Wildcats to beat down the Gators. And, guys, I know these picks are so chalk. I get it. But I tell you, having that double bye, man, it means everything. I mean, having that double bye, it feels like means everything to get extra rest. You only got to win 2 games to get to the championship. I know it's chalk, but I like Kentucky to beat Florida, and I like Tennessee to take on Kentucky, a game that we just saw last weekend when Kentucky went into Rocky Top and beat the Tennessee Volunteers. We just saw this ball game. I think it's going to be a rematch. Tennessee-Kentucky, Sunday, March 17th, 1 o'clock Eastern tip on ESPN. And I think the Tennessee Volunteers get their revenge. Yes, I understand they're the 1 seed. I get that. I know it's a chalk pick. But, guys, again, like I mentioned, they've got Rick Barnes, arguably the best coach in the SEC. They've got Dalton Knecht, the best player in the SEC. They've got Zakai Ziegler, the defensive player of the year in the SEC. They've got Jonas Adu. You keep Santiago Vescovi. You keep going down the list of guys they have. Dude after dude after dude. Nobody's got better top-end talent. Nobody's got more depth. And I think Tennessee obviously going to have a really nasty taste in their mouth and a chip on their shoulder from what happened this past weekend. I think the Tennessee Volunteers get their revenge, and I think they will be hoisting the trophy and will be calling themselves SEC Tournament champions heading into Selection Sunday. Guys, that's going to do it all for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that bell icon as well so you get notifications of when we go live and when we drop new video content, which is each and every single day. Also, guys, check out the podcast, which drops daily on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you get your content. And of course, guys, stay up to date with the latest from us over at SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.